I'd like to use this occasion as an opportunity, as an excuse to ask you something, to tell you something about control conditions. So we've been looking at all those very nice applications of virtual reality in the field of language and communication, of course. It's very easy to become very excited about what's possible, the kind of things that are being developed, all the opportunities it offers, for instance, for public speaking, for language learning, etc. But of course, one question that you should better always keep in mind while you're reading papers about this, for instance, while you're thinking about this yourself, is what is the control condition here? What could we compare this VR condition to? So in general, a question to always keep in mind if you're reading about this is, what do you compare your test condition to? What do the researchers that report this study, that report this research, compare their test condition to? And the test condition here often is the virtual reality application, the virtual reality condition. For instance, if you think of public speaking, you might get very excited if you read things like, well, people's public speaking capabilities improved with 20%. Or for instance, in terms of foreign language learning, people were learning French words in VR in very naturalistic environments. And in 1 week time, they learned 200 new French words that they didn't know before. So in that case, it's very easy, right, to become very excited about this. Like, wow, this is great. I want to do this myself as well. It works really well. But of course, one thing that you should keep in mind is that it's not always easy to create those virtual reality simulations. It might be kind of expensive. Wouldn't it be easier to do the same thing, but not in VR, but in a cheaper way, in a less expensive way that doesn't take that much time to develop, that might be cheaper for people to use? For instance, what you would like to do in the case of foreign language learning, for instance, is compare your VR condition to, for instance, a more traditional condition where people learn the same words, but then from a textbook, or they learn it on a computer screen. And you compare this to the VR condition to see, does VR add something to traditional, maybe cheaper ways of teaching people something? What's also very important to keep in mind in this context is the so-called risk of novelty effects. So it could be that people who've never experienced virtual reality before, the first time they use it as an application, all of a sudden get very excited, gets very motivated, and therefore they learn a lot, and therefore this application works very well. So if you're using this public speaking application for the first time, it might work very well. Just because you're so excited, you're so motivated by those new opportunities, those new possibilities that you did not yet know before, that this is working much better than just practicing in front of the mirror, for instance. Well, it could be that this is due to novelty effects. The first or the second or the third time that people doing something is still kind of novel to them, and this might lead to increased motivation. So this is also something to keep in mind. Is this more than a novelty effect? So even if people are using this application for the 20th time, does it still work better than a more traditional method? If they're learning foreign words in VR, even though they're already very experienced learning foreign words in VR, does it still work better than a traditional way of reading word lists, learning words from word lists? So those things, control condition, it's always good to think about a control condition to see what researchers compare their test condition to. And it's always good to remember that those effects that seem very nice could be novelty effects. They could be due to VR as a method being novel to people and therefore leading to more motivation, more excitement, and therefore working better. And those novelty effects, if they are true novelty effects, of course, they will disappear. So if people use the same application again later on, if they've already used it 20 times, will you still find the same thing?